This is the evolution of cryptocurrencies in cybercrime. So hello everyone. I'm going to be talking about this topic, and it's been a really interesting domain to sort of view this cryptocurrency domain over the past couple of years. So about me, I'm Vince Kenney. I'm a computer scientist with the FBI Salt Lake City division, and I've been working there now for about 6 years. And I've been monitoring this domain for quite some time, since there are a lot of threat actors that use cryptocurrencies to sort of facilitate crime. So, in reality, this is not a talk about cryptocurrencies, but it's a talk about financially motivated cyber actors. Historically, historically, financially motivated cyber actors have been seen as more of a nuisance as opposed to a real threat. I mean, even in this scale, you can see the guys in green are the hacktivists, the criminals, and really the guys in red and orange are the warfare and the terrorist individuals. However, over this past year, there's been an alarming rise in the tactics that these financially motivated cybercrime actors use, where they're using the tactics of terrorism. They're using the tactics of warfare to be able to promote their cybercrime activities and receive financial gains from that. So we've really seen the level of sophistication of financially motivated cybercrime rise significantly over this past couple years. So if this isn't a talk about cryptocurrencies, and it's a talk about financially motivated cybercrime, why is it titled The Evolution of Cryptocurrencies in Cybercrime? Well, the way that I structured this talk is not to really talk about different financial actors and their specific threat actor models and threat actor activity, but really center around a technology that all of these actors use. And that's not to say that technology is bad, but rather bad people use technology to do things. So I could have easily made this presentation about the evolution of social media in cybercrime, the evolution of IoT devices in cybercrime, the evolution of insert technology here in cybercrime. I think there's just been a lot of news lately about these financially motivated cyber actors, and oftentimes cryptocurrencies are brought up as a topic of interest. So I think there's some value in discussing this. So, without further ado, with that caveat, we will dive into this evolution of cryptocurrencies in cybercrime. So in particular, we're going to be going through 4 different evolutionary stages. Criminals using cryptocurrencies as a means of buying, selling, and exchanging them for goods and services, the rise of cyber digital extortions, and the targeting of individuals who use cryptocurrencies for totally legitimate means, as well as the targeting of new protocols that are being layered on top of the blockchain technology itself. Okay, so in this first stage in the evolutionary process, we see that cryptocurrencies are used in the criminal underground. And in this domain, we're really talking about dark web marketplaces, criminal forums, and other areas criminals gather online to exchange goods and services. So the grandfather of all darknet marketplaces is the Silk Road. The success of the Silk Road has come with 2 major things: the ability to host a website through an anonymized DNS service, so through the Tor network and the Tor DNS protocol, and also the use of a permissionless digital currency. So Silk Road is oftentimes referred to as Bitcoin's first killer app, because it was really the first time that Bitcoin actually had value in a digital type of capacity. But this marketplace also created some other innovations, such as a digital escrow system. In the end, though, the Silk Road was taken down and left people with the question of how anonymous is Bitcoin really? So in this Silk Road evolution, Bitcoin came around in about 2009. Shortly after the Silk Road was created, then an open source news outlet, Gawker, had sort of reported on it. The FBI New York City field office found out about this, and after about a year or 2 of investigating it, they finally took it down in 2013. Okay, so now through the next stage of the criminal underground, Alphabay is the next evolution in the dark dark web marketplace space. Alphabay was a much larger marketplace than the Silk Road. And Alphabay really modeled itself after eBay or normal websites that have lots of services in place for sellers and vendors of that website. Really, one of the things that Alphabay tried to pioneer is it's not just a place for two people to meet. It's a place for you to create your product, you to have a vendor service, and for you to continuously sell those services. So it was really targeted around being able to stay there and sell lots and lots of different products on that marketplace. Alphabay had a number of different rating systems, the ability to chat through encrypted means, and they really started to push Bitcoin tumbling and Bitcoin mixing into their escrow process. So they learned from some of the takedown efforts through the Silk Road to try and anonymize their cryptocurrencies. So the other thing that Alphabay started to push just before it too was taken down was the use of privacy coins to make transactions. So the evolutionary steps that Alphabay brought into this space is that Alphabay incorporated privacy abstractions for cryptocurrencies, but also the means of being able to swap coins, so one cryptocurrency to another cryptocurrency, or make transactions in other currencies beyond Bitcoin. Now we get to the modern age of the dark web marketplaces with Hydra Marketplace. And Hydra truly lives up to its name. It is a monster in this marketplace space. So Hydra is a Russian-speaking marketplace, and it is the most dominant force in the dark web marketplace space. Hydra took many of the innovations of Alphabay and Silk Road, but Hydra is not just a marketplace, but it's also a dark web services nexus. Therefore, Hydra offers a wide variety of money laundering services and different types of cryptocurrency services to its platform. So if you think of the Silk Road as the Amazon of 1999, Hydra Marketplace is the Amazon of today. In fact, one of the most interesting aspects of the criminal underground is the fact that it's becoming its own digital economy. If you need a venture capitalist to invest in your cybercrime startup, you can go there and find one. If you need to access supply chain-like services to help facilitate crime, it's available there too. So one example, really interesting example that came out over the summer is the service called Anti-Analysis. And so this tool actually provides individuals who are money laundering services or individuals that use cryptocurrencies on this platform a way of scoring or risking, providing risk factor information based off of the cryptocurrency that you have. So if you need a verification service for these money laundering services, you can use a tool like this. Okay, so we just talked a lot about criminals using cryptocurrencies, but now there's this new evolutionary step, which is bringing the non-crypto world into the crypto domain, in particular into the criminal crypto domain. So this was done really through the rise of cyber extortions. That's sextortions, blackmail, and certainly ransomware. Okay, in the earlier days of so these are the early days of ransomware. So ransomware has actually existed far longer than cryptocurrencies have. In fact, I believe one of the earliest instances of ransomware was back in the 1980s, where an individual created a ransom program on a floppy disk drive, mailed it to all his victims, and once the victims put the floppy disk into their computer, they were infected with the ransomware and instructed to wire money to a bank account. However, in the modern ransomware age, there's no denying that cryptocurrencies had a new element to ransomware. In the earlier days of ransomware, the rules were pretty simple. Someone would download ransomware to their computer, and their files were locked up. Then they had to pay a small ransom in Bitcoin in order to unlock them. And you would oftentimes see cartoons like the one here that people kind of joked, what's a WannaCry? It's a ransomware variant, but also what's a Bitcoin? And people were unaware of this new type of digital currency or digital extortion means that these ransomware actors were using. The next evolutionary stage in the cyber extortion and ransom domain is ransomware as a service. So ransomware changed from being a nuisance to now being a business model. The biggest evolutionary step of ransomware as a service was the scale of attacks. Initially, the scale translated into a number of ransomware attacks, more ransomware attacks. But now it's actually shifted really to the quality of ransomware attacks, going after high-value targets. By incorporating this affiliate model, ransomware developers can franchise their ransomware software and rebrand every few months. So with having richer targets came larger demands. This new model also came around the time where cryptocurrencies were starting to gain more mainstream adoption. Therefore, it became easier for victims to liquidate more fiat money into cryptocurrencies. And now we finally get into the modern age of cyber extortion, where ransomware is just a small piece of that. There is a multi-layered criminal extortion enterprise that happens through these ransomware campaigns. Now, most financially motivated cyber actors can perform double, triple, and even quadruple and more different types of extortion schemes to be able to get victims to pay ransoms. Some, like the Babook ransomware variant, run leaks websites to publicly shame their victims into paying ransoms. There are probably a dozen other talks at this conference that will touch on all the modern woes of ransomware today. Cryptocurrency plays a part in the cyber extortion space, but in and of itself is not the real problem. However, one of the problems is the integration of cryptocurrencies with traditional financial services. So the vast majority of ransomware actors use exchanges to send victim money to liquidate it back into their country's fiat currency. Even though cryptocurrencies have had more adoption in purchasing of normal goods and services, there's still a large need for translating ransom proceeds into other fiat and even other forms of digital currency. In recent news, the U.S. Treasury Department recently announced sanctions against the Sussex cryptocurrency exchange, based on the fact that they have received hundreds of millions in ransom proceeds, highlighting the need for these different crypto to fiat, even fiat to crypto, and even crypto to crypto exchanges to have some kind of standards to deter this activity. Okay, so we're moving on to yet another evolutionary stage. This is targeting individuals and institutions in the cryptocurrency space. So we're really moving into the cryptocurrency domain, and the victims in this space are not pulled into the cryptocurrency domain, but rather are targeted because they're in there to begin with. So examples of this is SIM swapping, crypto wallet malware, and targeting of cryptocurrency institutions, and more. So first up, we come up with SIM swapping. This is actually an attack that originated from the hacktivist threat actor group as a means to social engineer their way into taking over cell phones and accounts connected with those cell phones. One of the earlier examples of this is the infamous hack by hacktivist group Crackers with Attitude, who took over the then CIA director John Brennan's email account. They did this by social engineering their way into the CIA director's Verizon account. Now SIM swapping has become a technique cyber criminals will use for financial gain. Just a few weeks ago, there was a reporting that hackers exploited two-factor authentication through SIM swaps to steal over 6,000 different customer accounts from the Coinbase cryptocurrency exchange. This is an evolutionary step where victims who have totally legitimate means and reasons to use cryptocurrencies have become the target of these criminal actors because cryptocurrencies are an easy and finite nature of making a transaction. Next up, we talk about crypto wallet malware. So if criminals can't gain access to an individual's account through an exchange, they can try to trick them into downloading and installing crypto wallet malware. In fact, earlier in the year, there was a malicious version of the popular Trezor hardware wallet software hosted in the Apple App Store. It was soon taken down, but not after claiming a number of victims. There have been some really interesting hacks around also modifying not only the wallet software, but the hardware wallets themselves. and trying to pass them off as new and selling them for deep discounts online. Since hardware wallets are generally considered the safest types of wallets to have, most attackers assume they will get the biggest prizes for going after them. So this mark really, this kind of mark of malware-based wallet software kind of rises to these actors targeting individuals that don't host cryptocurrencies on cryptocurrency exchanges. Okay, finally we get into the nation-state actors. So back over about a year ago, there was a new APT threat actor called CryptoCore that originally had been attributed to an unknown Eastern European organized crime group. However, more recently, there have been multiple reports to attribute this CryptoCore APT threat actor to the Lazarus Group, a North Korean threat actor group. So CryptoCore in specific is targeting institutions as a means to rob exchanges and legitimate cryptocurrency institutions. They are literally the bank robbers of the 21st century. Okay, and the last evolutionary stage. So we walked through criminals using cryptocurrencies, criminals extorting victims, criminals targeting victims in the cryptocurrency space. Now it's the targeting of blockchain technologies itself through things like network attacks, protocol attacks, and DeFi attacks. So, while end users tend to be the weakest link in the security of cryptocurrencies, the cryptocurrency network itself can sometimes be a point of failure, especially for new cryptocurrencies that haven't had time to mature. In this example, Bitcoin Dice experienced a similar attack to a 51% attack back in 2013, when the attacker was able to use a centralized mining pool called ghash.io to steal an estimated 1,000 Bitcoins from the site. The attacker was able to manipulate the blockchain in a manner where he could recall lost bets. In particular, the Bitcoin blockchain actually went through its most rigorous network test back in 2017 during the block wars, where a small but powerful faction of the Bitcoin community wanted to increase the Bitcoin transaction block size. This eventually led to the creation of Bitcoin Cash, but for a while there was real concern that the smaller group that had a significant percentage of the hashing rate on the Bitcoin network could manipulate the blockchain. The next attack is the hack of the original Ethereum DAO, which was a pivotal point in Ethereum's history. The DAO, or Decentralized Autonomous Organization, is a nexus to manage smart contracts to be incorporated into the Ethereum platform. And a lot of Ethereum users put Ether into this original DAO. So much so that when the attack occurred, the attacker gained such a huge pool of Ether that the Ethereum developers decided to burn the Ether and burn the attacker's money and fork the Ethereum network, thus creating the Ethereum Classic network that maintains the state of the pre-DAO hack for the Ethereum chain. This hack was caused by a re-entrancy attack, which is the use of a fallback function combined with a syntax error to effectively drain an account. This evolutionary step opened up a totally new domain of attack vectors for blockchain technologies. And finally, we get to the DeFi space. So one of the main recipients of these new attack vectors is the DeFi space. DeFi is basically building financial products on top of blockchains. There have been numerous DeFi hacks over the past few months and this past year. In fact, I haven't looked it up, but if someone told me that more cryptocurrency was lost in DeFi hacks than in ransomware attacks, I wouldn't be surprised. The biggest one happened recently to the Poly network. The Poly network suffered a loss of approximately 610 million in US dollars of crypto assets. The story actually has a good ending. There's kind of an interesting couple of days of what happened through this attack. The attacker actually returned the cryptocurrency that was stolen and was rewarded with a bug bounty. So the moral of that story is that bug bounties work if the incentives are put in place. So, in conclusion, we are constantly encountering new technologies in the crime-fighting domain. In fact, one of the reasons why the FBI was established was to stop criminals who were using the new technology of automobiles and asphalt to rob banks. Up here, on the screen is a picture of Bonnie from the infamous Bonnie and Clyde crime duo. That group completely stumped law enforcement for years. And that resulted in a number of different changes to the way US law enforcement works. So at the end of the day, there's no need to fear new technology. There's a need to understand it. And my kind of take on it is, for new technology, is you can either run from it or learn from it. And I intend to do the latter. Thank you, everyone. That's all.